Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This commentary for The Strain, Season 1, Episode 4, It's Not For Everyone. And for me, this was the first amazing episode of the show. First perfect episode of the show, in my opinion. I absolutely love this episode. I thought this episode was absolutely fantastic. I mean, I just really loved everything that was going on in it. All the plots were really interesting. Everything in this episode was just really interesting. And just, it's gonna get even better. I mean, I can definitely tell the show's gonna get better. And honestly, I thought it was better than The Leftovers this week. Even though The Leftovers was absolutely amazing this week, The Strain was better. I just thought it was better, and I'm really looking forward to the next episode. So let's just get to it. So we first see Eph, Nora, and Jim. You know, they just got attacked by Redfern and killed him. And they're staring at his body, and they're wondering what happened. Now, Nora remembers that Abraham's saying to cut off the head and burn the body. And Eph wants to cut it open and find out exactly what happened, you know, what caused it to happen this way. Because, you know, they're still not really sure what's going on exactly. So Jim wants to call it in, warning that they're in over their heads. But Eph says they have to figure out exactly what happened. So they get Redfern's body into a room, and Eph and Nora go looking for supplies to perform an autopsy. And Nora wonders if Redfern knew what was happening to him. And Eph figures that he didn't. He says that he can handle it on his own if Nora wants to bow out, but assures him that she can handle it. So, you know, they want to try to figure out what's in there and everything, and I thought that was definitely very interesting. So then we see that Eph has Jim record the autopsy on his camera and begins. By the way, this was in my opinion, this episode had the best acting so far. Like, the show's been really good at, you know, the shock factor and things like that, like scaring us. This episode probably had the best acting in the show. I mean, Eph and Jim, the guys that played Eph and Jim, terrific in this episode. Great performances from them this episode. I thought they were great. Basically, they see the worms infesting his body are apparently gone. Also, his genitals are gone, which is very strange because, as you know, that just happened to that Gabriel guy last week, or whatever his name was. That guy that had his dick gone, his dick fell off and was removed. The same thing happened to him. So it's very strange that this happened. So his excreting organs have fused into a single opening. And it's pretty disgusting because Eph cuts Redfern's chest open, and the doctors discover that the heart and lungs have shriveled up and new tubular structures have grown throughout the body. There's a whole new set of organs that exist to propel the stinger. He pulls out the stinger organ, which is several feet long, and there's also an ammonia discharge. And Jim is enough and says that they should call it in. And Eph explains that the new organism is reproducing and consuming its host. So that was definitely very interesting there. Very creepy, but definitely really big. So then Eph, Jim, and Nora, they're cleaning up the room, and Eph figures that the missing box is responsible for the spread of the disease. Of course, they don't know where this missing box is, and Nora wonders how they can stop it. Now, Eph admits that he doesn't know, but Jim Jim tells them the truth. I was glad he did tell them. He does tell them that someone paid him to wave the box through security, and he needed the money to pay for Sylvia's cancer treatment. And Eph is pretty upset about this, because obviously he needed that box, but the thing is, Gus, that's a different character, sorry. Jim needed that, that box for, he needed that box to, for his wife's cancer treatment, so. But, Eph is pretty upset about this, that someone deliberately spread the epidemic, and Jim, says that all he knows is that a German man threatened him at Stoneheart. He doesn't know who he is, and Jim insists that he would do anything to keep his wife alive. Eph then punches him and says that he's dead to him. Once he walks out, Jim tells Nora that there was nothing she could do, and she gestures to him to give her the phone, and then she walks out. So, that was definitely a very intense scene. The acting in that scene was definitely very good, and I really enjoyed that scene. I thought that was just an awesome scene, in my opinion. Awesome stuff there. So, then outside, Eph and Nora, they get into the car, and, Nora, thinks that Eph kind of blew things out of proportion, which I do agree with her, definitely, that Eph did blow things out of proportion. I mean, Jim, he didn't just blow that money, he didn't just blow the money on something, he didn't just blow the money onto something worthless. He did it because he wanted to help out his wife for her cancer treatment, so he had enough money to provide for her cancer treatment. And basically Nora says that she can understand why Jim did it to save a loved one. She remembers that Abraham saying that the victims would go back to their loved ones, and Eph figures that they can possibly maybe they can find Emma, that very creepy little girl that killed her father, and of course he doesn't know that her father's dead. He doesn't know that. But they want to use her as proof to see if, what's going on is what they think is going on. And then we get probably the creepiest scene in the episode. They go to the Arnott house and discover that the door is still open, just like Eph left it earlier. They hear children's music playing, which is never a good sign in the show. Whenever you hear happy music in the show, that means shit's about to go down. And, it's really creepy because Emma's in that basement, and, Eph is like to her, Emma. She turns around, and she's covered in blood. Turns around, when they approach her, she extends her stinger out. Very, very intense shit going on. Tries to stab them. Abraham comes in, cuts off Emma's head with his sword, because, he said that's what they were supposed to do. And he then tells the doctors to get out of the way, just as a transformed Gary comes in behind them. Abraham cuts off his stinger, and then in the head, and tells Eph and Nora to stay away from the bodies and the worms. By the way, his name was Gary, that's who I was talking about. And when Nora wonders what he's done, Abraham says that there was no other way, and she runs upstairs. Nora's pretty upset about this. Abraham then tells Eph that there are 2 containers of gasoline in the garage, and they need to burn the bodies, because, that's how they know that they're officially dead. And Eph goes upstairs, and Nora, she's pretty upset by this. It was too much for her to handle, and she says that she can't do this anymore. He insists that they have to hunt down the victims before they hunt them down, but Nora insists that Emma, was only 8, but Eph says that the body was only a shell for the virus, and the people of New York are counting on them to do something, and, it's too much for her to handle, her witnessing, a little girl dying, even though that girl was possessed, it was too much for her to handle, and basically, Nora said that she would rather die than kill, and I can definitely understand that. I really like this about, this episode, that we kind of saw that Nora has a different reaction to this. She's not okay with them just killing a harmless girl. But the thing is, she wasn't a girl, a little girl. She was a monster. She was possessed by a monster, and that's really what's going on. And, I think this is, Eph is now realizing, look, we have to do this. It doesn't matter if it's a little girl or a really old man. Whoever it is, you need to kill. If they're coming to attack us, we need to bash their head in and then light them on fire. Unfortunately, Nora does decide to leave. She's not coming back. She's not going to stay with them. I'm sure she is eventually, but I don't think right now she can. She just can't handle it at the moment. And Eph tells her to be safe. And once she leaves, Abraham warns that some brains can't adjust and says that Eph will have to let her go. And then tells him to get the gasoline. So, I don't know what that means exactly, that he'll have to let her go. I guess what Abraham's trying to say there is that her witnessing that her dying was, too much for her, and she's not going to be able to get that memory out of her head. I feel like something bad's gonna happen to Nora now. I don't know. Do you guys feel like something bad's gonna happen to Nora? I just feel like something bad's gonna happen to Nora. I don't know what, but just the way they ended with Nora just leaving like that. I just feel like something bad's gonna happen to her. I don't know what it's gonna be, but hey, by the way, I just realized both shows have characters named Nora. The Leftovers and The Strain both have characters named Nora. I just realized that. But, let's get to the subplot of the episode. The subplot had to do with, we'll go to, who should we go to? We'll go to Gus first, because his plot was definitely very interesting. So, in Harlem next morning, Gus wakes up, realizes that he left his gun on the dresser, puts it away, goes to the kitchen. Crispin asks where he put the clock, and Gus's friend Felix is there making breakfast. And he says that he's heard some good things. He offers Gus a job running stolen cars for some Nigerians, but Gus points out that something similar got him locked up the last time. And Goodaply comes in. I don't know how you pronounce her name, but it's Gus's mother, and I don't know how you pronounce her name, but whatever. Basically, then the landlord, Mr. Farrell, comes to see his mother and collect the rent. And Gus wonders what happened to the money, and he and his mother realize that Crispin didn't take the rent down. He didn't take the rent down. He didn't do it. And he insists that he took it down, and Gus talks to Farrell privately, and because, obviously he needs that money. He needs to collect that money, and he needs to take the rent down. And he warns him not to talk down to his mother again, but then he gives Farrell the rent for the month ahead, and Felix comes as Farrell nervously backs away. And once he leaves, Gus leaves with Felix to meet with the Nigerians. And, yeah, so that's what happens there. And basically, then what ends up happening is Abraham is closing up his pawn shop. Gus comes in to return the clock that his brother stole. And surprise, Abraham takes it back without any word of thanks. And Felix goes into the parking lot, sets off a car alarm. When the parking attendant goes to investigate, Gus takes out one set of car keys. He steals the owner's SUV, drives out to where Felix is waiting, and that night they deliver the stolen SUV to the Nigerian shop in Queens. Their leader, Alonzo Cream, says it's not a good time because the phones and internet are out, and when Gus threatens to walk, Alonzo agrees to take a look out for it, and once he does, he offers them $400 for it, even though Felix heard that they were paying $1,000. And Gus then takes the money, so he then takes the money and everything, and then we saw that scene at the end of, we saw that scene at the end of the episode, and then we, definitely going to be interesting to see what happens there with Gus. I'm very interested in seeing what's going to happen there. And overall with Gus, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen to him, definitely. It's going to be interesting. He has to get that money, and I'm sure he's going to give that money to his mother. And I don't know what's really going to happen with him, but overall, I really enjoy his plot. I thought his plot was very good, and I enjoyed this plot, definitely. Let's go to Ansel and Anne-Marie. I thought their plot was definitely very interesting. I enjoyed their plot, pretty much. So Anne-Marie knocks on Ansel's door, says that she's taking the children to his sister, and when she asks if he thinks that she shouldn't, Ansel opens the door, tells Anne-Marie to get them out of the house as soon as they can, because of course, he knows that he is transforming. He doesn't want to admit it, because he's not all the way transformed, but he knows something weird is happening to him. I thought that was a good call that he made. He is pretty much, saying to her, look, it's not safe for the kids, and I'm he can't just tell her, hey, I'm changing. What he has to tell her is that, it's best for the kids, it's not safe there. So he calls to his children, saying that he's not feeling well, and Anne-Marie wants to call their family physician, who is Dr. Barrett. But Ansel insists that he just needs some rest, sends the children over to the door, and then asks Ansel if there's anything that she can do for him. Now, Ansel says that he'll be fine, then he'll take care of their dog, Gertie. As they leave, Ansel watches them from the kitchen window. However, when she returns, the next time she returns, he's not there. So she goes up to his room in the bathroom, and Anne-Marie notices that Gertie isn't in her bed. Figures that Ansel took the dog out for a walk. However, she prays on the cross, notices several clumps of hair on Ansel's pillow. She looks out the window, sees a bloody dog collar on the snow-covered lawn, goes out to investigate. She follows the blood trail to the shed, praying, sees the dog dead behind the structure, and its throat has been ripped out. Anne-Marie hears, and its throat has been ripped out. So obviously Ansel, I think what he did was he ran away because he realizes he's becoming a monster. He doesn't want to hurt his wife, because he really cares about Anne-Marie, obviously, and his kids, too. He doesn't want to hurt his kids. So, he doesn't want to hurt his wife, so, he left her, and I think that was the best thing for him to do, but him killing the dog, I thought that was a huge thing there. I was like, holy shit, that is huge. Basically, Anne-Marie hears something moving in the shed, calls to Ansel, but gets no response, then goes inside, and a transformed Ansel lunges out at her, but hits the length of the chain he's fastened around his neck, and he tells her to run and never come back, saying that the voice in his head is telling him to drink her blood, and he screams at relief, and she quickly runs out. So, I thought that was definitely good. I thought that was definitely really, really good that he, told her it's best for her to just run away, and I like that definitely. So, she buries Gertie and apologizes for what Ansel did, and Trip Taylor, and then we see this, their neighbor, Trip Taylor. And he comes over and says that he's sick of the growling noises from the shed. He assumes that Gertie is the animal inside, and Anne-Marie assures that he won't have to worry about the dog anymore. And, she knows that it's not the dog, it's actually Ansel that's doing it. And Trip admits that he hit Gertie when she came onto his property before, starts to call the police. When he hears more growling noise from the shed, Anne-Marie hastily apologizes, invites him to go into the shed, discipline Gertie for her. He takes off his belt to whip the dog, goes in, and Anne-Marie shoves him in the rest of the way, closes the door, and Trip screams for a few seconds and then stops. And that was definitely a very big scene. I mean, that was just really, really big there. I'm really interested in seeing what's going to happen. And I really feel something bad's going to happen to Anne-Marie because just something bad's going to happen to her. She knows her husband is transformed, and I just feel like something bad's going to happen to her now. We'll have to see, but I know something bad's probably going to happen to her. And the last thing you talk about is Eichorst and Eldrick. Basically, Eichorst, he met up with, Eldrick, who has Fitzwilliam showing their guests, and Eldrick explains that the woman, Dutch of Elders, is an internet, freedom fighter who can do what they need. Now, he was very surprised it was a woman. She explains that they've heard rumors that an internet group, Citizens for Freedom, is planning on crashing New York's corporate websites in protest against, Regis Ayer's, malfeasance. And Eldrick explains that they've heard, he tells, Hazard confirmed that she can slow down the photos to the internet to the point where no one can send photos, and Dutch says that it's impossible, that it is possible, actually, and Eldrick tells her that she's hired, and he dismisses her. So, she was hired and everything, so that was good. She was hired. Basically, then we see, Fitzwilliam wakes Eldrick up, says that his appointment is there. The assistant says that the cell towers and the internet are down. Health Secretary Margaret Peterson comes in, and Eldrick assures her that he'll be better soon. He then tells Margaret that the White House called him to tell him what happened on the Regis flight, and he thought she should know. Eldrick claims that a classified biological agent got loose on the airplane, and that the military removed the bodies to cover it up, and when Margaret hesitates, Eldrick tells her that she needs to do what needs to be done, and Margaret admits that she owns her career to him, promises to give him whatever she needs, and then Eldrick suddenly collapses, but when he wakes up, he does finally wake up, he finds himself receiving treatment, and Fitzwilliam says that Margaret left once she knew Eldrick was okay, and the doctor says that the new liver has arrived. Fitzwilliam warns that they haven't been able to reach Eichorst, and Eldrick mumbles about the miracle that they promised him, and then tells the doctor to transplant the liver. So he's going to have his liver transplanted, I guess. I don't know what's going to happen there, but overall, this episode was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. Really great seeing this episode. Let's talk about some things that I think are going to happen. Nora, I don't really know what's going to happen. Nora, I definitely feel, I'm pretty sure she's going to come back. I mean, she's the main character. She's going to come back to Eph and Abraham. I like that they are working together now. Eph and Abraham are working together. I really like that. Definitely, that's really good. As far as Ansel goes, I feel he is going to hurt Anne-Marie. I don't know what's going to happen, but I feel something really bad's going to happen to her. I don't know what's going to happen, but I feel like something is going to happen. Gus, I don't know what's going to happen with his storyline. I honestly don't care that much about his storyline. I thought his storyline was just okay. And as far as Eldrick goes, I don't know what's going to happen with this liver transplant. We'll have to see what's going to happen, but definitely I really don't know what's going to happen there. But overall, I love this episode. Thought this was by far the best episode of the season. Really great stuff in this episode. Really looking forward to the next episode. Really interested also in seeing what's going to happen with this virus. It seems like this virus is just, it's going crazy. Everyone's getting this virus. Everyone's getting this virus. Everyone is being affected by this virus. I definitely feel like shit is about to go down on this show. And something is going to happen definitely with this virus. But that's it for my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you guys in my next review, which will be for my review of tonight's episode of Switched at Birth. So I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.